Hello lovely people, welcome back to the farm at Free Warden where we raise sheep, pigs, a milk cow now, chickens, ducks, quail, egg chickens, and we've got a whole bunch of cats and we've got a few dogs. Come along as we do something that we've got to do every once in a while here on the farm. It may not be your cup of tea, it may not be something that you want to even know anything about how to do it, but I got to do this somewhat regularly, so I figured I'm going to bring you along and you're going to have to suffer with me as I do routine preventative maintenance on the tractor here. So we're doing maintenance on the DK5310 SE with the cabber, which the cab doesn't change anything. We're going to get this thing into peak performance, top running condition today by doing an oil change. We're going to change out the hydraulic fluid, transmission fluid, all of the filters. So you got the fuel filter, the air filter, the oil filter. We've got the transmission fluid filter and the hydraulic fluid filter. That's 5 filters, yeah. So we're gonna be changing out all 5 filters. I'll be showing you where those are. I'm gonna be showing you how to empty the oil reservoir, how to empty the transmission fluid, hydraulic fluid reservoir, and how to change the fuel filter and all that good stuff. So come along with me today as I gotta do something that just has to get regularly done on this every once in a while. Besides that, we're also going to be checking all of the grease points. There's a couple hidden points on this tractor that you're going to want to know about. And we're also going to be checking the coolant. I'm going to be showing you how to check that, how to fill everything. I may not be covering everything exhaustively in this video, but it's going to be a lot more than maybe some other maintenance videos that you've seen out there. And if you've got any tips or recommendations on how to do this better, go ahead and leave them in the comments. But you tell me if you think I've done something wrong or I could do something better. All right, so the first thing that we want to look at here on the front of the tractor, just under the hood, is this guy. And you'll notice that when it's installed, this gasket here is facing down. All right, now it's pretty dirty in there. That's a lot of dust. This is probably overdue for cleaning, but I'm actually not going to clean it this time. I've blown it out several times and I got a new one. We're almost at the 400-hour mark and we're gonna go ahead and just change it out. We've got our new filter here. Just taking it out of the plastic. You want to keep it in plastic, of course, until you're ready to install it. Make sure that that thing stays nice and clean. All right, there we go. So we're going to install this pointing down. That helps any liquid drain out that may, condensation or anything that might get in there. Now it's going to be a little difficult to see here, but there is a screen back here that we want to take out. There's a couple little clips on either side. You're just going to push it up past that, and then you're going to work it out like so. And look at how dirty that is right there. Oh my goodness. This is flexible, so we're just going to work it out. There's 1, 2, and 3 screens or condenser panels that you've got to blow out. That's not including the 4th screen that slides back in here. And I don't know the technical terms for all of these, but we've got this, so dust and dirt and everything can get in there. Now this is very fragile. It's very delicate, so you gotta be careful. I see a couple little fins here have been bent, and I could probably take with my fingernail and just bend more, so you just wanna be careful when you're doing that. The cooling system on your tractor is very important to maintain. Any dust, any debris, any grass, any leaves that get in there can really, they can in short order potentially cause a lot of damage to your tractor, because you're not driving down the road at 60 miles per hour with a huge, air intake like you do on a truck or a car. So you've really got to make sure that your air intake is clean. It needs every square inch to stay cool, to keep the engine cooled. And so if you don't stay on top of this, you could have an overheating problem in short order. Now another important thing related to this is your coolant. So your coolant goes in right there to check it, you're just going to look at your low line and your full line. And you want your coolant to be somewhere in between there. Now I always try to keep it topped up to the full line, and it's almost there. It's like a ½ inch from the full line right now. Now right behind this coolant tank, the coolant refill here, is your fuel filter. So your fuel filter's right here. I always like to have on hand with me some shop towels or some paper towels. Today I'll be using some nitrile gloves, keep my hands clean, especially with that cut in my hand that I got recently. I want to keep that clean, so I've got a box of nitrile gloves so I can replace it. I've got my oil wrenches, my fuel filter and oil filter wrenches here, or just filter wrenches. I've got a bunch more here. I went and picked some up because I've got all different sizes of filters, and for some reason I couldn't find my fuel filter wrenches, any of the others, and I don't think I had one large enough to change out the transmission fluid or the hydraulic fluid filter, so I had to get a couple larger sizes here that are maybe a little larger than you normally use. But this one goes all the way up to 5 3/4 inches. This one goes up to 4 3/8 inches. We'll see which one we actually need. This one's up to 3 7/8 inches, and this one is up to 4 1/2 inches, adjustable with a chain. So I just got one of each of everything that they had at the local farm store, within the range of what I'd probably ever be using here on the farm. I got an extra oil pan. This is a 5-gallon, and I've got another one that I think is a 4-gallon. We're going to be using both of these today because we're going to be draining the hydraulic fluid, the transmission hydraulic fluid, and that's about 11.3 gallons altogether. So we're probably going to have to, we're going to drain off 5 gallons, then we'll drain off the 4 gallons, and then we'll have to go back for the last couple of gallons or so. We've got our long neck funnel, and I've got some other funnels. So we've got our fuel filter right there, we've got our oil filter, we've got, I believe, our hydraulic fluid filter, and then we've got our transmission fluid filter. And then I've got our transmission hydraulic, our trans hydraulic oil, and I've got 2 5-gallon jugs of that and a 2-gallon jug of that. And then of course we've got our oil. I've got 2 gallons of oil. The Kioti DK5310 SE takes it takes 1.95 gallons of oil. So that's actually a 2.5 gallon jug that I've got there. Just an SAE 10W30 heavy duty diesel engine oil. That's what the local auto parts store recommended. I've got everything I need here. We've already changed out the air filter. We're going to do the oil next. We'll drain the oil in just a second here. Just behind the front wheels here, we've got the oil pan. It's a dual drain oil pan, so you've got 2 bolts to release all the oil. That's because the drive shaft, the 4-wheel drive shaft, goes right through the oil pan. So you've got a pan, it's basically a double basin pan on either side. So I've already loosened this, and so we're going to just continue to screw this out by hand. We're going to get the other one loosened, and we're going to drop it first. Once you get these guys loosened, they come right out. And next we're going to just move the oil pan up toward the front where it can catch the oil from the oil filter once we remove that. Okay, now we can get the rest off by hand, and we're just going to let that drain down into the oil pan. Alright, and then we're just going to take a little of the used oil from down here, and I'm going to put a thin layer of oil on the gasket. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow it to go on much easier, and when it comes time to take it off, it's gonna come off much easier. So we're gonna go ahead and thread this on very carefully. I'm gonna show you how to tighten the fan belt here. So come around over here. Now your fan belt is right here. It goes around your alternator right there. Okay, so there's your alternator, here's your fan belt. So what you wanna do is depress it, and you wanna see that it's got like basically 1/4 of an inch of movement. Now, if you need to tighten that, then what you're gonna do is you're going to loosen this nut here. And then once you got that good and loose, this is along an arm here with a slot in it that you can actually pull this down. So we'll just pull it down a little bit. Now while holding it in place, we're gonna tighten it up. And then we're gonna check the tension on our belt again. So just reach your hand in there and check the tension. And that's between 1/4 to just under 1/2 an inch there of movement. And we're gonna call that good. So by tightening that up, that should also have taken care of a squeal that I get every once in a while in here. They do not make getting to the oil to fill it very easy. So this is something I really don't enjoy doing, but it's gotta be done. And I might need to go and grab a channel locks to get that open, but this is it right back here. So we'll see if I can get it started with this. All right, there we go. All right, then we're gonna pour almost 2 gallons in there. So I'm gonna leave a gallon and I'm gonna leave just over 1/2 gallon in here. After we changed the oil filter, and refilled the oil reservoir, we're going to start the tractor and run it for just about 10 seconds. That's to circulate the oil. All right, then we're going to test the level of the oil. Your oil dipstick is on this model, it's a red dipstick right back here. So you're gonna pull it out. On your dipstick, you've got 2 notches. This is low, and this is high, or full. So you want it to be right up to there. Yeah, we're right to where we need to be, so. Okay, so just in front of the rear tires, underneath, you've got 2 bolts. One here, and one back there. These are your hydraulic/transmission fluid reservoir drains. So I'm going to take just this one bolt out and we'll see how it's draining. We may take the other one out if it's going well. And if you have any trouble with it draining, with the speed of the draining, you can open up the fill cap on the back side of the tractor. Okay, so here you've got this red fill cap with this question mark shaped diaphragm. So this is where you would open this up if you have trouble with the flow down there as you're emptying your hydraulic/transmission fluid reservoir. There we go. Oh, and it's going. There we go. All right, so next we're taking this off. This is our filter for the transmission fluid. So we need to take some of that old hydraulic fluid, put it around on our seal. Then right here behind the fuel tank on the driver's side door is our last filter. Got maybe another cup of fluid in there to drain, and then we'll put the new filter on once that stops or goes to a slow drip. All right, so now this is the hydraulic system filter, and this had an interesting round gasket in here that was loose. So I'd very carefully set it in there. It kept wanting to pop out, and then I applied a thin layer of hydraulic fluid to it, and it seems now to want to stay put, whereas before it was like constantly wanting to pop out. So now I can even kind of push on it and it stays right there. Anyway, just thought you might want to know that. This is this one came with the gasket out of it. It wasn't stuck in there at all. It wasn't even in place. It was hanging off to the side. So I put it in there, kept wanting to pop out. I applied some hydraulic fluid to it, and now it's staying in there. Now we're going to refill the hydraulic fluid tank, refill the transmission hydraulic fluid reservoir, and then we will test this thing out, see how it's working. All right, so once again, this is where you fill it. Use a pair of channel locks to get this open here. All right, folks, so we have changed the oil, we've changed the oil filter, we've cleaned the air system, we have checked the coolant, made sure that's topped up, we've checked the fuel filter. That looks good, so I'm not going to change it even though it's prescribed to be changed right now. I talked to the dealership. The Kioti dealership said don't change it unless it needs to be changed. They said go ahead and just keep running it. If you ever have a problem with the fuel system, change the fuel filter. Otherwise, the fuel filter doesn't need to be changed. I don't know if that's right, but they're the mechanics, they're the dealer, so I'm going to go with what they said. And then we changed the transmission fluid, we changed the transmission filter, and we changed the hydraulic filter because the hydraulics and the transmission run on the same reservoir. They run off the same reservoir, but they've got filters for each different system. So we changed all of that, and we also changed the air filter in addition to cleaning the the condenser coils, the condenser panels in there, whatever you call them. So we should be good now. It should be good to go. The only thing that I haven't shown you yet is the greasing. Now the greasing on this can be a little difficult. It can be a little hard to find all the points to grease. So I'm going to give you the quick rundown. There are 8 points right off the bat here on your front loader arms. Okay, so you've got one there. Let me turn the camera around here. Of course, you've got one there. You've got one there. You've got another there. That's 4. And we've got 5, 6, 7, and 8. So altogether on each side, you've got 8. Then we can quick dip in here, and you can see this bevel point. This gets greased. We've got the same 8 points on the other side of the loader arms. Finally, you've got this bevel here. That needs to be greased. So there's a point there that needs to be greased. You can see the grease on it. So that is the axle pivot. That's the front axle pivot. There's also a rear axle pivot, okay? But that's not on the rear axle. It's on the point just behind. It's on the point just behind the axle. And it's right there, okay? So you gotta hit that one and the one that's on the front side over there. Okay, so front and back, the back point is right there. Hit both of those, the front and the back axle pivot points, and then you've got this control arm point back here that needs to be greased as well. So I'm gonna show you that. It's a little hard to see as well. It's gonna be easier to see, however, because I put grease on it already. So right back there, there's a little spot with grease on it. So I'll back up here, and you can see where that is. So it's right between your rear hydraulics and your control lever right there. So again, right back there. So these should be greased every 50 hours. That's what they say. I believe the front loader arms should be greased every 10 hours. Now that's what I do. I do every 10 hours on the front loader arms just because there's so much torque, there's so much weight being applied to those points, grease is really cheap. Okay, grease is stupid cheap. It's easy. It takes 2 minutes to go around and grease all these points, and then you're done. And then you don't have to spend hours replacing pivot points. You don't have to spend hours drilling stuff out and replacing, your grease zerks and all that. So just, you take care of your stuff and it's gonna work good for you. It's gonna keep working good for you. Let me show you what I use for my grease gun. This is, I like to use this Lincoln grease gun. Now I had to order this, and I ordered this zert tip. It's a little lock-on tip. It's fantastic. This is the Lumax, and it basically has this little lever here that locks down on your grease zert, and then you're not gonna ever have to worry about like holding it on there, or did you really get it on there, pushing it on real hard, or having to yank it back off. This is easy on, and easy off. That's all there is to it. Easy on, easy off. This will change your life right here. If you don't like greasing, grab yourself the Lincoln. This is a professional grade grease gun. It's gonna cost you a little bit more than the stuff you can buy down at the farm store maybe, but it's gonna be well worth every penny. And then get your lock-on grease zert tip. You get this thing, and it's gonna make your life a heck of a lot easier. I'm gonna head out, get the pasture mode, and you all take care. Stay safe. Hug somebody. God bless you. Everything is going to be okay. Peace.